All right. Well, welcome. My name is Sandy Knudson. I live in Norman, Oklahoma. I spent 30 years in an elementary music classroom. I still have a community choir, Oklahoma Youth Sing, and I still teach in the Akodi certification program at the University of Oklahoma. And what I am sharing with you today is called Building Beautiful Tone for Young Singers. It's especially targeting things that you can do in kindergarten, first grade, second grade. The handout is at the top of the chat. You can click on that and download it. And honestly, everything that is in the PowerPoint is in that document as well. So instead of sharing the PowerPoint, I would urge you to download the handout. So we're going to begin with my premises here. Is that choral sound can be achieved easily and more easily if it starts early. So I found, I taught K through 5 at my elementary school here in Norman, and I felt like I could do more with my honor choir of 4th and 5th graders at my school than I could do with my community choir. And why is that? Because I started building good choral habits in kindergarten. We sang with good posture. We sang in our head voice. We did beautiful vowel sounds. We dropped our R's. I didn't say drop your R, but I modeled it for them, and that's the way they sang. So the underlying philosophy is children will do whatever you ask them to do, and only the best is good enough for them. So if you're singing in a classroom, if you're singing in morning worship, if you're singing at Vacation Bible School, wherever you're singing, go ahead and teach them how to sing in their head voice with beautiful vowel sounds, with beautiful articulation, with beautiful diction, and with musicality. So why wait? Why wait to explore beautiful poetry, artistic articulation, exquisite vowel sounds? And so I'm just going to demonstrate some of my favorite activities from my classroom, but bear in mind that these can be extrapolated and taken to your situation. I don't have the privilege of asking you right now where you teach and what you teach, but maybe at the end of this, you could type that into the chat. We will use the chat for questions. And again, just to remind you that at the top of the chat is a PDF of the handout, and all of this material is in your handout. So this is an activity that I used with my kindergartners. My source is Lynn Kleiner. If you've never seen Lynn Kleiner in person, she is the amazing early childhood person of all time. And I used this over many, many, many lessons. The first time, I just demonstrated it, and we always worked in a circle. And so I taught them how to obey the space rule and walk away from their seat and not bump into anybody else. There's a whole process that goes with that. But let's just say that for the first time, I would demonstrate maybe with a scarf. And this is not the best scarf. I had the nice scarves, you know, that you can hold in front of your face, and it was beautiful, but I'll just do it this way. One misty, moisty morning, when cloudy was the weather, I chanced to meet an old man dressed all in leather. So that was going away from my seat. He began to compliment, and I began to grin. How do you do? How do you do? How do you do again? So I'm moving away from my seat, and I'm using the scarf. So before they don't have a scarf in their hand, but they are pretending to have a scarf in their hand, and that's all we do. On another day, maybe I have a drum. And I say, boys and girls, remember that poem? I'm going to use my drum to move away from my seat. One misty, moisty morning, when cloudy was the weather, I chanced to meet an old man dressed all in leather. He began to compliment and I began to grin. How do you do? How do you do? How do you do again? So I don't put a drum in their hands, but they have an imaginary drum, and we do that together. On another day, I may put a scarf in their hands, and we do it together. On another day, they just have their drum in front of them, and they make this sound or this sound. On another day, I can go every other. So I could have one person with a scarf and the next person with a drum. And then when I give the secret signal, you get to switch. The whole thing is I'm showing the form. I have slow and mysterious, and I have fast and bouncy. I have different kinds of props. The sky's the limit. If you don't have scarves, use something else. But this was a favorite activity, and we could do it over and over and over and add something different each time. This gives them practice in diction, practice in tempo, practice in inflection. So many things are taught with wonderful poetry. So already established was the space rule, getting back to their seat at the end of a word, but they have this practice with expression, tempo, articulation, and inflection. Here's another activity, and I no longer have this book at home. I had a wonderful student teacher who took my place at my school, and I left everything there with the caveat that I could borrow it when I needed it, but she's out of town this week, so I wasn't able to run up and borrow it. But I would just use different kinds of voices, and we would start with, this is my whispering voice. This is my whispering voice. So if you'll echo me, this is my speaking voice. This is my calling voice. This is my singing voice. So I used to use shouting voice. Some of the textbooks had whispering, talking voice, shouting voice, and singing voice. Well, I tended to get not what I wanted with the shouting voice. So there are pictures in textbooks. You could find pictures. You can make a PowerPoint of the different kinds of voices. You can make little signs. Doesn't matter. But using this little echo every once in a while, and then saying, boys and girls, I'm going to read you a book, and I'm going to use one of my voices, and you have to raise a quiet hand and tell me what voice I'm using. So I happen to have this book for my grandchildren, so I'm just going to use this one. The itsy bitsy spider climbed up the water spout. Now, in this book with the cat on it, there are multiple verses. But let's say I've done a whole verse. So they would say, that was your whispering voice. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Which kind of voice? Singing voice. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. Shouting voice. And the itsy bitsy spider climbed up the spout again. Talking voice. So again, taking any book, it doesn't matter what it is. Teddy bear, whatever you've got, 6 little ducks, and letting them identify This is my whispering voice. This is my talking voice. Why is this important? Because they have to know the difference so that they can start finding their own singing voice. So let's talk about one other thing, just simple echoes. And again, I don't have my microphone, so I'm going to pretend this is a microphone. This is my rhythm stick. But I would always teach in a big semicircle with my kindergartners. So I am walking around saying, oh my. And when I point the microphone to them, they echo, oh my, no more pie. Pie's too sweet. I want a piece of meat. Meat's too red. I want a piece of bread. And so on. It goes, it goes, it goes. It's a long echo song. And the last part is kind of sad. Train had a wreck. I fell and broke my neck. Oh my, no more pie. But again, this is maybe taking 30 seconds. We do it as a group, echoing, then I move on to something else. On another day, after we've done this, maybe 3, 4, 5 different times, then I say, boys and girls, if I come to you and point the microphone to you, can you echo? Oh my, oh my. And if somebody goes, oh my, I'll say, was that your singing voice or your talking voice? That was my talking voice. Okay. And just move on. And so later on, if they can tell the difference between the different voices, that's one skill. And then later, if they use their singing voice, but they have a different pattern, say, did yours match mine? Oh, it's different. Oh, that's cool. But you're teaching them how to find their singing voice. The research is that a child finds their singing voice by singing by themselves. So we have to have these little solo opportunities so they can learn about those kinds of things. So usually at this point, I stop and say, how do these activities tie into a choral rehearsal? And again, we're teaching so many things. We're teaching form. We had an A-B form with our drum and scarf activity. We're learning to find our singing voice. We're learning about inflection and diction and expression. We're learning about our head voice. We're learning about the different kinds of voices. All of these things are setting the stage for them to be successful choristers when they're in 4th or 5th grade. So I encourage you to use poetry, to identify the different kinds of voices, and to find lots of solo singing opportunities. And I will share some of those with you as well. So here are some classroom strategies or rehearsal strategies for finding a singing voice. So if they don't match, maybe they just need to use more air. If I say, oh my, and they say, oh my, say, could you use more air? Oh my. Or could you use your whispering voice? Oh my. Sometimes just taking a little weight off of it and using a little more air helps them. Can you sing like this? Maybe I'll model it. Or I'll say, that was your talking voice. Try your whisper voice. Try your singing voice. Those are all strategies. Never do I make the child feel bad. I just want them to identify what kind of voice they're using, and that's fine. It's acceptable. And I had a student who never found their singing voice during kindergarten, 1st grade, and one day in 2nd grade, all of a sudden it popped out, and the whole class burst into spontaneous applause because they all could hear that it was his singing voice, and he was pleased with himself as well. Keys that are helpful for young singers, I like to use E flat, E, F, F sharp, because that flips them up in their head voice. I hear so many teachers, classroom teachers, kindergarten teachers, preschool teachers, singing really, really low in their chest voice. And those young students can't match it because that's not where their voice lies. So it's better to start up higher and have them bring that head voice down into the chest voice. Another one is just using props and scarves, puppets, slide whistles. Oh, I forgot about this one. I can sing up high. I've done this one with my with my granddaughter since she was little. And just to let you know, my daughter has a very low singing voice, and many times she starts low, and I'm like, flip up in your head voice. But let me go get my puppet for I can sing up high. So this is one of Kiki's favorites. I can sing up high, I can sing down low, I can sing in the middle, and sing both high and low. So we had done it so much, and I always have a bag of tricks that I take when I go to her house. And she's like, can we get out Nana's bag? And the answer is yes. But she was sitting on the couch one day, and she was doing, I can sing up high, I can sing down low, I can sing in the middle, and sing both high and low. And she was doing it on her own after we had done it together a million times. So this, props are great. Puppets. I have Sammy Sloth. Sammy Sloth loves to sing. I can sing up high, I can sing down low, I can sing in the middle, and sing both high and low. Or we can use our bodies. I can sing up high, I can sing down low, I can sing in the middle, and sing both high and low. So it doesn't matter what song it is, but props are great. A child will sing to a puppet before they will sing just to you. And if you give them the puppet, they will sing with the puppet as well. So in first grade through fifth grade, I use a lot of solo singing games. The research premise, as I mentioned, is that solo singing is the only way to find your singing voice. So in the classroom, children can be quite successful at what I call split-second singing. You know the true state of affairs when each child has a moment to respond. So the other thing is you have to build a classroom climate that is positive and supportive to individual responses. And in the Marzano teaching model, which was what we were using at the end of my teaching career, the teacher who monitors student progress is working on the highest level. So I would have a seating chart, or I would have a grade book with great big squares, and I'd just be going down the row and having different students respond, or we'd play a game, and I would keep track of where they were with their singing voice. So again, if somebody responded with a different kind of voice, we never laughed, we never made fun of them, but we just identified what kind of voice they were using and moved on. Every response was accepted and validated, and that's important, and that has to start early. All right, so here are some other games that I would use with my young students, and whatever puppet you want. If I sing your name, sing it back to me, then you can sit down. So everybody in my semicircle is standing up, and I'm standing where I can see everybody, plus I can see the child. So I don't have my back to any of my students, but then I would just sing, Helen, and she would sing, Helen, then she could sit down. Breck, then he can sit down, and so on. I'm going quickly around the circle, and then after I've done 5 or 6, I might notate really quickly, or I just might try and just do it informally, and then on another day record. Don't have to record every day, but it's just good to know where your students are. I played a game in a circle. This is going to be hard to demonstrate, but we would all be sitting in a circle, and one student would be in the middle. And so you can use any song. I used Let Us Chase a Squirrel, and I had a leaf and an apple and a squirrel, but I don't have my leaf and my apple and my squirrel right now. So I have a hedgehog and a puffin and a Paddington. But I would have a student in the middle with their eyes closed. And then we would be singing whatever song it was. And as we were singing, I would pass out these 3 items. Everybody had their hands behind their back. And so 3 people would actually have these items, but everybody's hands were behind their back. So we're singing, singing, singing. Let us chase the squirrel up the hickory, down the hickory. Let us chase the squirrel up the hickory tree. Then I would say, who has the hedgehog? So whoever had it would just sing, not lift it up. I have the hedgehog. And again, the person in the middle keeps their eyes closed the entire time. And I'd say, who has the puffin? I have the puffin. Who has Paddington? I have Paddington. So you can see my patterns right there. So me, so me. Who has who has the leaf? So I had a 1-syllable thing. Who has the apple? Who has the squirrel? But it can be any 3 items. It can be whatever you have in your classroom, or whatever you have in your house, or whatever you have in your church office. But again, the person in the middle opens their eyes. Everybody still has their hands behind their back, and they're just smiling. And the person in the middle has to guess the 3 people that sang. So they have 3 guesses, and many times they'll get all 3. So then I say, well, you get to pick one of these people to take your place. So the thing is, not everybody gets to be in the middle. But, or if you only got one, that person comes to the middle. Or if you only missed one, that person gets to come to the middle. The point is, everybody's playing a game. And if you have 15 students, you play this game 5 times and you've heard everybody sing. So when whoever you pick to be in the middle, they come to the middle, but they give their item to the person who was it before. And those 3 students get to pass out the items, and you have to pass them out to somebody who hasn't had a chance to sing yet. So do I have to do anything? No. I'm sitting there with my grade book. They're playing the game, and I'm writing down about their singing voices. So it's a way for you to assess quickly, and they think they're playing a game. And it's like, can we play doggy, doggy, where's your bone? Can we play whatever? With older kids, all you have to do is take the song and put it on a little card. And I say, you know what? The person in the middle is going to have to guess 4 people because you're older and you're smarter. So 4 people have these cards, and I'm singing, are you sleeping? And the person who has that card is singing. Their hands are behind their back, but they know it's theirs. Brother John, morning bells are ringing, ding, ding, dong, Ding, ding, dong. I use the echo thing so that I'm always singing in the same key and I'm assessing all of them in the same key. If you have a really crackerjack group, you can give them a starting pitch and they probably can keep it in the right key. But I just take a song that's easily echoed like that. 4 cards. Guess who sang? Again, they think they're playing a game and you are taking a singing grade. So what did I do? I took at least 3 singing grades in a 9 weeks period, and it was usually a game. But it could be something very easily put into your rehearsal. One of my sessions later today is about games. So this would very easily fit into that category. It could be done before rehearsal or it could be done as a brain break in the middle of rehearsal. So how do these activities tie into a choral rehearsal? Again, when you get to a choral rehearsal, you could say, number down the row, 1, 2, 3. Okay, all the ones sing this part. I'm listening. You could put them in a circle and number them off. 1, 2, 3. All the ones sing. Now all the 2s sing. Now all the 3s sing. You're doing a drive-by and you know whether they know their part or not. Can you use solo singing in your choir rehearsal? Absolutely. If you have built an atmosphere in which they're all supporting each other and they're willing to do it that way. I find that numbering them off and having all the 1s sing or all the 2s sing or all the 3s sing is much better than having one child sing by themselves. They're far enough apart from each other that they really truly are singing by themselves. And you can be in the middle of the circle walking around assessing and seeing if they have that pattern correct, whatever it is that you are spot practicing. All right. Beautiful listening is another activity for young children. I usually try to end my classroom time with them coming up to the front, and I'd have my guitar or an auto harp or a dulcimer, and we would sing a lovely song, or I would sing a song for them, or a picture book that had a song with it that I could sing for them. Or sometimes I would let them listen to an example. I had a great recording of the King Singers singing This Old Man. So one day I would have the picture book and they would learn the counting song. And on another day, we'd listen to the funny King Singer version of it. And what am I showing them? Men singing in their head voice. Great thing to show. And these are all ways to put beautiful music into their ears. How do children learn how to speak and read? You aren't silent for the first 5 years of their lives and wait till they get to school. You're interacting with them all the time. You're saying nursery rhymes for them. You're speaking to them. If they say a vowel sound, you imitate their vowel sound. You're talking to them all the time. This is how they're getting their vocabulary. It's the same thing. With their food, you don't just give them French fries. You don't just give them hot dogs. You give them a variety of fruits and vegetables and meats and snacks. Why not in your classroom have them listen to a beautiful jazz piece for 30 seconds? Or you sing a beautiful piece with your guitar or your dulcimer to close out, a lullaby. I had enough teddy bears for all my kindergartners to have a teddy bear. So sometimes we would close out with a lullaby and they were rocking their teddy bears and they're feeling that steady beat, that macro beat. All those different kinds of things are really fun things to give them a variety of listening experiences. And the more they listen to, the more models they have of different kinds of genres of repertoire, then the more they're able, can my 4th and 5th grade honor choir do a jazz piece? Yeah, because they've heard this and this and this. Can they do a classical piece? Yes, because they've listened to Kathleen Battle sing this song. Can they do a folk piece? Yes, they've heard me singing with my guitar or my auto harp or my dulcimer. It gives you a chance to introduce different kinds of genres. Another thing is just that ah vowels are everywhere and oo vowels are close behind. And so I was very intentional about having young singers show the sound. Ooh, or ah. I would model dropping the R. I would model putting on ending consonants. I would have students do a gesture to show the cutoff. Come again tomorrow night. So that they know that final consonant is important to understand the word. Another thing that you can use is just the fingers opening like a puppet. Come again tomorrow night. I also used motion to help them do syllabic stress. This is an example that's not in your handout just because it's one from Fair's Lady, but you could use any hymn or children's chorus song for syllabic stress. This one, London Bridge will fly away, fly away, fly away. Instead of London Bridge will fly away, fly away, fly away. Are you just singing or do you want to make some music? London Bridge will fly away, fly away, fly away. Model it for them, have them do the motion, but don't sing. Do the motion with me. Don't sing. Hear me do it. Now you sing. Okay, if you're not singing it the way I model it, go back to doing the motion with me and don't sing. In other words, keep modeling it until they understand what you're asking them to do. What is helpful? I am always a proponent for using solfege. I teach solfege in the Kodai certification program. I also teach conducting and work with the choir. I love solfege. I have been nicknamed the solfege queen. Beautiful vowels come from solfege. Why? Because we basically have an O and an A vowel and a couple of S and Es, but they can be put in the same place as the Do. Do, re, mi, fa, bright O, so, la, bright O, ti, do. Beautiful, beautiful vowels. So we can sing intervals, we can sing the scale, we can play what word do I stop on, we can derive the form, we can talk about phrasing. So I have an example here of the song Firefly, but we could also just look at, are you sleeping? Usually the third phrase is the most important phrase. And that's where all the motion is. Are you sleeping? Are you sleeping, Brother John, Brother John? Morning bells are ringing, morning bells are ringing. It has the most rhythmic interest. So many times the third phrase is your most important phrase, and then your fourth phrase has a nice ending. You can have students figure out the form. You can listen. So I'm going to show you this song. And again, it doesn't matter what song you use, but I'm going to use this to demonstrate something that I call, what word do I stop on? So I really only want you to pay attention to this first verse. And I'm going to sing on solfege. So, mi, do, re, mi. What word did I stop on? Night. I try to stop in an obvious place, but the key is go back to the beginning. Now you can have one person raise their hand and answer, or you can have the whole choir blurt the answer. I usually use the quiet hand first until they understand the process. And then as we've done this more and more, I can trust my whole choir to come up with the right answer. But the important thing is I go back to the beginning. So, mi, do, re, mi. So, la, mi, so, mi, so, mi, re. I stopped on light. I'm going back to the beginning. So, mi, do, re, mi. So, mi, mi, re. Do, re, mi, la, so. I stopped on watch, and so on. Let's do the whole thing. So, mi, do, re, mi. So, mi, mi, re. Do, re, mi, la, so, mi, re, mi, do. And then I'd say, boys and girls, if I didn't have this up, tell me the form. So, mi, do, re, mi. So, mi, mi, re. Do, re, mi, la, so, mi, re, mi, do. Are any of these phrases alike? No, it's A, B, C. Maybe we would sing the scale. Do, re, mi, so, mi, re, do. Maybe we would talk about so, mi, mi, re, showing that each one gets a little bit louder. There are so many things that you can model with the solfege before you ever go to the text. Then you can model beautiful diphthongs, dropping the R. Firefly, firefly in the night. With a yellow light. How I love to see what you shine tonight. So sometimes I've sung it as see you, sometimes as watch you. But again, just letting you know that when you introduce a piece, there are so many things that you can do to help them understand the song. What word do I stop on? What's the form? Let's sing the scale. What phrase needs the most energy? Usually it's the third phrase. So I hope that that makes sense. But how does this tie into a choral rehearsal? How you introduce the piece is so important. And in Engaging Choral Classroom 2, I'm going to demonstrate different ways that you can teach a piece with solfege that set the stage for your students to be successful. How do you model it? You keep them engaged. They have to be doing something. Maybe they're conducting. Maybe they're tracking the form. Maybe they're keeping a steady beat. Maybe they're listening for rhyming words. Give them something to do as they're listening. Then model it again. Give them something else to do. Maybe they hear it 3 or 4 times before you ever ask them to sing. The first time they sing it is the most important time because that's usually what you get. So if they sing with a mistake the first time, it's going to take forever to get rid of that mistake. But if you model it beautifully and you take them through a sequential approach to the song, when they sing it the first time, they're making beautiful music. Part work is very important. I used a lot of part work in my classroom, so I'm going to encourage you to think about part work in a rehearsal. Well, what is part work? Part work is anytime you have two different things going on. So maybe you're singing an ostinato. An ostinato is just a stubborn pattern that repeats and repeats. So if we were doing Let Us Chase a Squirrel, which we did earlier, up the hickory tree, would you keep that going as I sing the song? So I'll get you started. Up the hickory tree, keep going. Up the hickory tree, keep going. Let us chase the squirrel. Up the hickory, down the hickory. Let us chase the squirrel. Up the hickory tree. They're going to sing better in two parts than they do in unison. Unison singing is the hardest thing to teach. Kodai said the best instrument to accompany a human voice is another human voice. People are going to sing better in tune if something else is going on. Same thing for a child. They are going to be more engaged if you're asking them to do something while they're listening or do something while they're singing. They're going to be better if you're asking them to do 2 or 3 things at once. It's a hard concept. We think, oh, we shouldn't ask too much. Oh, ask a lot, because the more you ask them to do, the better their musicianship. Sometimes an ostinato is just the last phrase of a song, like ding, dong, ding for Are You Sleeping? Or dip, dip, and swing for the canoe song. Partner songs actually come before canons. So a partner song, if you have any 2 pentatonic songs of the same length, you can sing them at the same time as partner songs. So for instance, and this is reflecting my elementary classroom, but if you had Bow Wow Wow, which is pentatonic, and Let Us Chase a Squirrel, which is only has 4 tones. It's not 5 tones. Bow wow wow, who's stronger than so 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 la so mi do mi re do. Bow wow wow is pentatonic. If you had another pentatonic song, you can sing them at the same time. If you have a song that has the same chord progression, so for instance, you can sing 3 Blind Mice and Are You Sleeping? And Row, Row, Row Your Boat. That's probably one that you've heard for a long time. You can sing All Night, All Day with Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. There are lots of partner songs out there. Partner songs are easier to sing than canons. Canons and rounds are the most challenging, and movement is helpful. So if we're doing Scotland's Burning, Scotland's burning, Scotland's burning, look out, look out, fire, 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 pour on water, pour on water. That's a great example that you could do this canon with teacher and class or with several circles. But again, before you do that, what's the form? Do you hear any that are exactly alike? Scotland's burning, pour on water. We have an A, B, C, A. We have a third phrase that's the most important. Fire, 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 fire. Again, I'm dropping the R and doing a nice diphthong for that. So all of these things are helpful things. Find a canon to do in your choristers rehearsal. In one of my later workshops today, I even did things like put a canon in the beginning of their folder for us to use for a month. So I always did it on colored paper. So I'll just throw in this little freebie for a minute. I would pick several canons for the semester, but we would just use one to start with. So one semester, I decided to do For Thy Gracious Blessing and Chairs to Mend. For Thy Gracious Blessing is minor and Chairs to Mend is major. So we worked with these for several weeks, and all I had to say was, find your yellow sheet, find your purple sheet, find your pink sheet, find your green sheet. Here's All Things Shall Perish with 2 other canons that work as partner songs. So again, you can use those kinds of things. All right. Another thing that I like to use is scaleisthenics to teach a song, and I have several people that have asked me, well, isn't there somebody that created these? And the answer is yes. But this is the Sandy Knudson version of scaleisthenics. So I'm going to change my screen so that you can see everything. Maybe not. So let's do the songs below Do first. Do, ti. So I've got my fingers in those hip sockets. La, my hands are open like this. La, so is on my knees. So, la, ti, do is on my waist. So those were the notes below do, and let's do the notes that are going above do. Do, re, mi, fa. I'm just touching my earlobes. So, la, ti, do. Again, armpits up. I don't let my kids do this. Do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. So maybe I would teach Let Us Chase a Squirrel with scaleisthenics. Do, do, re, mi, so. Do, do, re, mi, re. Do, do, re, mi, so. Do, do, re, do. So I can shape the phrase. I can show a crescendo. I can show all of those things with scaleisthenics. So taking whatever hymn you're working on, whatever anthem you're working on, and just take a little section of it and teach it with scaleisthenics and model the phrasing and the articulation the way you want it. And do it on solfege before you go to the text. I guarantee you that when they come to the text, if you've done it repeatedly with solfege, maybe you've introduced it, we're singing solfege. Next lesson, let's review the solfege. All right, let's add some text. 9 times out of 10, they will sing the musical articulation that you have modeled for them. The more you do it, the more they will do it as well. So don't be discouraged if the first time it doesn't happen. You have to train them over time. And the more you do something, the more they know what it is. It's like, let's circle up. They know their circles. They already know their number. You're a 1, you're a 2, you're a 3. Let's play a solo singing game. Everybody to a circle, and so is it. By the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, we're going to do an ostinato and a canon. I need my 3 circles. Ready, go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The more you do it, the more they know. So you have to teach them the routine and the procedure of getting in place so you can do it. Everybody face me. Don't sing, but do what I'm doing. That's important. They're putting it in their body and in their ear before you ask them to sing. Again, how do these tie into a choir rehearsal or a choral rehearsal? You are setting the stage for success. And number two, you are keeping them busy so that at the end of rehearsal, they say, is choir already over? Oh man, I was having so much fun. Okay, just a few more thoughts here. I demonstrated this game in the last session, but it's poison. I will demonstrate that if we have time at the end. I think we will. Let's talk about literature for a moment. So this is very important to me. And again, I'm applying this to my classroom. But I am not a church musician, but I am a firm believer that all of these things can be incorporated into a children's choir rehearsal in a church. The main thing is choose choral literature with meaningful artistic texts. If it's based on scripture and it's beautifully set, that's going to be a great arrangement for your students. For me, I always looked for great poets like Emily Dickinson, A. Milne, Christina Rossetti, Robert Louis Stevenson. But you can look for a hymn setting of a beautiful, tune. Maybe there's a lovely arrangement of Away in a Manger. Maybe there's a lovely arrangement of My Jesus, I Love Thee, or Be Thou My Vision. That's set for children with an ostinato, a partner song, a very accessible harmony part. The true alto part that you find in hymns is the most difficult. So look for things that have some question and answer. Look for things that have perhaps a partner song, an ostinato, or a canon, some kind of part work that's very accessible. And if that's your anthem, then do something that's not the anthem, that is the same process. If it has an ostinato, learn what an ostinato is with a different song. Now open up this. Oh, boys and girls, what's this called? It's called an ostinato. Then they can look at your word wall and say, ostinato, I know what that is. It's a pattern that repeats over and over and over again. The other thing is program accessible choral pieces for your children in school programs before they are in choir. So maybe you don't have a choir for your kindergarten, first and second grade at church. Maybe your choir is only third, fourth, and fifth, but you do a Christmas pageant every year. Okay, program something that's just beautiful and simple that they can be successful on. Maybe it's an anthem, but they never have the music in their hands. It's taught completely by rote, and they're successful. And they come into the pageant and they sing this beautiful anthem, and they don't even know it's an anthem. And then later on, they want to be in your third, fourth, and fifth grade choir at church because they've had their debut on stage during the Christmas pageant. Many times we would take a choral octavo and program it into one of our grade level programs. For instance, we used an arrangement of a Nini, which is a beautiful Irish lullaby, in a St. Patrick's Day program. We used Something Told the Wild Geese, which is a beautiful setting of a poem by Sherry Porterfield, and we did it in a third grade program on Autumn. So again, setting the stage with your young ones. Play, engage them, teach them good habits from the very beginning, model for them, give them something to do while they're listening, and try some of these techniques. Try solo singing, try some part work, And so I really would like for you to think of one thing that you would like to try. And I'm going to stop sharing for a moment and see if you have questions for me. And you can type them in the chat. Let's see. I think I have gotten rid of my screen there. So again, just reminding you that everything that was in the PowerPoint is in a handout that's at the beginning of the chat here. But I really would like to know, out of all these different ideas that I have presented, one thing that you would like to try, or any questions that you have. Go ahead and type them into the chat. Something you would like to try, or a question that you have, and then we'll close out by playing Poison at the end. So don't be shy. Let the chat begin. Or tell me what age children you work with, or whether you work in a school or a church setting. Any of the above. All right. We're going to play Poison. So the Poison pattern is, and keep typing in the chat as we play Poison. Maybe I'll get a few response. The Poison pattern is so, mi, do. So would you sing that Poison pattern? So, mi, do, and never sing it again. Okay? You echo whatever pattern I say, except the Poison pattern. So, mi, so. So, la, so, mi. So, so, re. Re, mi, do. So, mi, do. So if anybody had sung So, mi, do, that would be a point for me. But if nobody sang So, mi, do, that would be a point for my singers. We keep playing until one of us has 3 points. And I usually say, I'm the one that loves to win. So I'm going to try and trick you. Maybe I would start out with So, mi, do, and they sing it, and I get a point. I put it in different places, towards the beginning, towards the end. I'm going to sing patterns that I want them to know. So maybe in our song and in our anthem, we have do, la, so, and I want them to hear that. Or so, fa, mi, or mi, la, so, mi, do, la. It doesn't matter what patterns you're using, but these are all patterns taken from your repertoire. So I see in the chat, I work with 2nd and 3rd graders in a church setting. So these ideas are very helpful. I work in a church setting with grades K through 6, and I plan to try several of your suggestions. So I'm hoping, I planned this for an hour, and it's set to go to 11:30, but we're at 11:15, and I'm happy to stay on and answer any questions. Yes, you can use Poison with rhythmic patterns, and that is a little bit easier for them to have a Poison pattern. So let's play it with a Poison pattern. Your Poison pattern is tika tika ta, tika tika ta. So please echo my patterns. Ta, ta, ti, ti, ta. Tika, tika, ta, tika, tika, ta. And if you did it, I get a point. If you didn't do it, you get a point, and so on. Great. Yes, Poison can be used with rhythmic patterns as well. And they love to play Poison. And you could have them choose the rhythmic pattern. if you have them choose the solfege pattern, they have to be able to sing it, because they'll say something crazy like, let's do so, fa, do. And I was like, can you sing it? No, then we're picking a different one. How about mi, re, do, or do, do, so, or re, so, do, or so, fa, mi. It could be do, ti, do. The pattern can be whatever you want it to be that day. Great. Thank you, Carol, for that. All right. I am going to officially say that we're done for this session, but I'm happy to stay on and answer any more questions, or if you have items to put into the chat. So thank you for your attention. Enjoy your lunch.